Coming up next on the SPNN Forum, we have Beverly, Tipton, and Drew Hammond of Tipton Hammond Arts. Hi, I'm Martin Ludden, Executive Director of the St. Paul Neighborhood Network, and we are here live in the Kwame McDonald studio at SPNN with Drew Hammond and Beverly Tipton, owners and founders of Tipton Hammond Arts. Drew, Beverly, welcome to the forum.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much. Good to be here.
Yeah, it's nice to have you. Tell us a little bit about your gallery and how it came to be and what you do with it.
Well, we moved here from Baltimore in 2016.
Okay.
And started creating a lot of art all of a sudden. It was just a spurt, a blooming of our gifts, and the living room was getting too full of art. I started painting hats.
Okay.
I love hats, always had a passion for hats, and did about 30 of them, and they ended up in the Minnesota African American Heritage Gallery with Tina Burnside. I mean, things just began to happen when we got here. Mm-hmm. And so we realized we needed a space, so we marveled at the mammoth Northrop King building, walked around, was like oohing and on, and finally got a space in 425 with several other artists, and we really couldn't believe we were there, began to create more, and now today, since 2020, March of 2020, we moved into 261. Yeah. And so we have more than enough room for all that we have and all that we do. And we love sharing art and we love working together, and it's just been incredible.
Yeah. Are you both visual artists?
Yes, yes. Bev and I, we lived in Baltimore, and we used to go to DC all the time to the Smithsonian. I mean, we would hit 16 of the 18 museums in one visit. And so when we moved here, you know, we wanted to find where the art hubs were, you know. And so we started frequenting Northrop King, and we always wanted to, I wish we can get a gallery here. So when we did, it was a shared space and probably had 2, maybe 10-foot wall space, you know. Yeah. And enjoyed that, lived there, you know, and like Bev said, when we finally got downstairs into our own space, we wanted to make it more than a gallery, just to showcase our art. So we have a variety of things that take place in our space.
So it started as really a place to kind of get out of the house and I assume also create the art, but a place to store and show the art.
Yes, we realized that we could do the business of art along with 500 other artists in the building. So we were inspired, and we had a friend, James Nutt, who is a watercolor artist. He was in the Solar Arts building, and he invited us to do a guest exhibit, both of us separately, at his gallery. So that gave us some exposure. And he began to talk to us about the rudiments and the parts of what it takes to run a gallery. And then boom, we landed in our own. It was like, wow.
So now that you have a full space that is your own instead of just a couple walls, is this primarily, are you showing your art? Are you showing other people's art? Kind of what's the mix there?
Well, we had 2 youth. We try to inspire the youth artists up and coming, but it's primarily our art that we have on display. So,
Nice. And then it's more than just visual art, right? I mean, this is a broader kind of space.
This one, she sings, dance. She teaches ballet, African modern dance.
African modern ballet for the little people. And I think so. Two years in a row since we've been in this larger space, we do a Christmas concert. I do a Christmas concert every December.
Spoken word.
We've had visitors from the East Coast come and do spoken word, so it's never a dull moment. And people walk in and they go, "Ooh, I like this vibe. What is that?" It could be the candles, you know, we're not sure. But I think because our art is diverse, and he does amazing collages and the colors, and you put them all together, you get a serious potpourri of art that really draws people in, and they like to hear stories. And we tell a lot of stories.
That's, I mean, you're very good storytellers.
Author,
I've got books. I forgot about those.
In your spare time?
I published, 2.5 books. The one that is there is called Healed Am I? recovery from the trauma of abuse. I have Dad's book there, which is his autobiography. And Cross Points. I'm a minister as well.
Okay.
And Cross Points is a life application of the cross.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, minister, dancer, singer, visual artist, author,
Cook,
cook.
Semi-bass.
semi-bass. Yep.
Which is not a short scale bass.
right.
It's not the opposite of a double bass.
No,
Yeah. But you're also a musician and a visual artist.
I play semi-bass, little bass. Jazz aficionado.
Okay.
Yeah, jazz historian.
Yeah.
Love music.
Nice.
You know, always listen to music. Music is always playing at the gallery. You know.
And
so.
you're repping Mr.
Yeah.
Mingus.
Charles Mingus. Yeah.
He did a Mingus collage.
nice.
He did an Ali collage.
Yeah.
He did one collage that's almost the size of a door, full of musicians, from Nina Simone to Miles Davis. I mean, he really, because that's his passion, his collages are breathtaking.
I don't know of a time where I didn't listen to music, Martin, or didn't do art.
Yeah.
So I've always done the two.
I'm curious, you talked about, you moved here in 2016 from Baltimore, and then there was this kind of blooming. Yeah, so what was happening before? Like, were you planting seeds that bloomed then, or has this been a continuous?
We got married in 2008.
Okay.
And we both were doing art. You know, we would have a easel in front of me, an easel in front of Bev, and
Some jazz.
glasses of wine and jazz.
Yeah.
And we would paint, look at each other and ask, do you like this one? Yeah, that was nice, and just pigeonhole.
It was therapeutic for me at the time.
And I've been doing art all my life,
Yeah.
and I never, would fathom moving here and it blossoming the way that it has. It's just been incredible. So I've never sold a piece of art until I moved to Minnesota, and I've been doing art for all my life. But she sold a piece back in Baltimore and was shocked.
I was shocked. You want to buy what? You want to buy that? Yeah. It was a Mother's Day present. I'm like, okay, sure. How much you want to pay me? Things have changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's great. And it's
Yeah.
and I love to hear that, because I have heard from different corners that it's hard to sell art in the Twin Cities, and that there are, it's not an easy market to sell art in. So I'm happy that you're successful doing
Yeah.
it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I've never heard
Yeah.
that.
And I don't purchase a lot of art, so this is
Yeah.
not a firsthand.
Yeah,
sort of
yeah,
firsthand
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of artists in this state.
Yes.
And I tell you, I woke up, what was it, April of 22, and saw that the Minnesota Arts District was #1 in USA Today.
Northeast.
Awesome.
Northeast, and I was like, I'm just excited to be a part of that.
Yeah.
You know, so shout out to Nima
Yes.
and Northrop King. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Excellent. You talk a little bit about kind of the business side of art,
Yeah.
which I think is not something that is taught particularly well in formal environments.
Yeah.
How did you learn it, and how are you sharing it?
We had an amazing woman in the Northrop King building who's an artist herself, Allison Price. She took me initially under her wing to teach me how to curate, because they asked us to do the social justice exhibit. We were like, really? Whoa. So he has a lot of social justice art. He has a watermelon filled with seeds. You think they're seeds, but they're actually bodies of slaves. There's another one of a ship where the slaves have jumped off the ship, and the name of the piece is Not Tonight, because they've just been taken from their thrones in Africa and being taken who knows where. And so we were able to pull in other artists, Sean Garrison Phillips and other artists, to bring their social justice pieces. And we built that relationship with Allison. She taught me how to curate, just piece by piece, showed me the pieces that are a part of doing art business.
Yeah.
But what I find, when people come into the gallery, they might walk in 3 times. The
Right.
4th time they'll come in and say, I have to have this piece, because it's a connection.
Yep.
And so that's why I was kind of surprised when you said that, but I can see where if it's not a priority or your passion, then maybe you don't get a collection.
Right.
But art speaks to you,
Yeah.
Based on your experiences. And we find that I love hearing stories, and people love to hear our stories about, well, what does this mean?
Yeah.
And then we say, well, what does it mean to you? Yeah.
So it's also trial and error. So I mean, I'm a lifelong student of learning the art business, because there's certain things that I just haven't mastered. So it's always changing. But I know to open my door, put my open sign,
Yeah.
and say,
Right.
this is our art,
Yeah.
you know, so.
Yeah. If you're just joining us, we are here on the SPNN forum with Drew Hammond and Bev Tipton talking about art. I like that piece there, or what you said there about sometimes somebody comes back 3-4 times. And, you know, we talked a little bit. I play music, and I think instruments speak to people sometimes that way. You know, you
Yes.
talk to somebody who finally found their dream guitar, and they had to go back to the shop like 4 or 5 times and
Wow.
play it.
That's
Yeah.
interesting.
And then finally we're like, all
Yeah.
right, this is it.
Yeah.
But the visual pieces can speak that way too.
Yes.
But you have to invite people in
That's right. That's
to
right.
come back to that, right? Like,
Open sign.
That's what we use the
Yeah.
candles for. The aroma, you know, draws them
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and the jazz.
Yeah.
He plays
Also the
jazz
jazz.
the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
personally or on?
On the bows.
Oh no, on the bows, yeah, on the bows, yeah.
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 Semi bass is private. So.
What are some of the favorite things you've had, either visually or kind of community-wise, in the gallery since you've been doing it?
Having youth come in.
Yeah.
Some of our artist friends, they invite, they bring their students to the gallery, and I would teach them collage. We would have conversation, dialogue about art, you know. So that's probably the most premier thing for me,
Yeah.
hosting the youth and just showing them, helping them define themselves as artists, and then showing them the business, you know, and talk about the business. And I think it's the youth for me, and the fulfillment if someone thought enough to purchase one of our pieces,
Yeah.
you know, which means that they liked it, you know, and it's like that's a fulfillment there also.
Right.
So, and being able to display and share that space with my wife is just also fulfilling.
Well, that's a special
Yeah, that's
way to be able to do
very,
that.
yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Piggybacking on what he said, the joy of creating and then the joy of seeing someone love what you create.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah,
wow.
yeah.
I'm like, why do you like that? But, and equally for me was the joy of having 5 little ballerinas
Oh, yeah.
come and take class. The problem was they were doing their plies and they were looking at the art like pay attention.
Focus.
So 2 of my ballet students ended up, well, can we paint after class? And they would try to emulate
Yeah.
one of the pieces on the wall.
Absolutely, you can paint
So
after
it was
class.
like, yeah, it's something for everyone at Tipton Hammond Arts. Yeah, yeah.
Well done. That's a good soundbite. You're talking, so you work in collage. Can you talk a little bit about what that form, like how that works?
Yeah, so a couple of my favorite collage artists, Judy Bowman from Detroit, Romeo Bearden, and George Gross. The whole idea of being able to create by destruction is just so cool, and that's what I call it.
Yeah.
And there are rules, but they're not rules, if you know what I mean.
Right.
So it's the ability to be able to take something and shape it and give it form. It's no different than what Bev does with acrylic.
Right.
But I love doing that, the analog collage, because a lot of the kids are into digital, and they always say, Mr. Hammond, you know, you got to get with it. You got to do this digital.
Can't tear digital.
I can't tear digital,
Right.
you know what I mean? So it just kind of removed the whole palette of destruction. But collage is my mainstay. I love doing collage, and I'm glad I had those heroes like Bearden and Gross to guide me, because I still, and it's not that we can't have an original thought when we create art, but we do summons
Oh, yeah.
the old, you know, the ancestors, if you will, of art to, you know, create a new piece. So
Well, it's everything you've taken in
Absolutely.
visually and mentally
Yeah.
comes back out.
yeah.
Yeah.
So where do you find what are you using? What are you destroying to create?
Everything.
Cloth,
The gallery floor.
papers, yeah, the train wreck every time I do a piece, you know.
It's
And
worth it.
then it's not really a train wreck, Martin, because I'll in turn use what's on the floor eventually, you know.
Yeah.
But I use magazines. I think there's a few magazines that just have like incredible photos in it. Won't say who, but I use cloth, paper, just everything. Even some physical shells. You know, Bev have these flat beads. I'll use them. So I just use everything to create a collage. You know, just to give it a solid imagery.
And Bev, you're a painter.
Yes.
And what do you work across? Is there a particular style of painting you do, or
No, I'm ebb and flow.
okay?
That's kind of, I guess, my personality. He's structure and order, so we make a really good pair. So I started off with acrylic, and recently, like with my hats, he says the heads are too small. But really what it is here's the head, the eyes are closed, and the hat is what's talking.
Right.
And that's why I call it the Hatitude series. Now we're using the Hatitude series. I'm not selling a lot of the hats, using the hats to talk about the connection between African women and headdress and the historical hats, and then them coming to America, being enslaved, and then doing their worship on Sundays in their attire, which translates to the Pentecostal and the Baptist Church in America, and how I used to worship. So the hats have taken on a special meaning for me, and I use a lot of textiles in mine as well.
So are you creating the hats, or are you?
I'm designing them and painting them.
Wow, okay.
I would actually like to find the milliner to make the hats, but sometimes I do need sleep. So I have a lot on my plate, but that's something I think I want to do down the road. Lately, like I said, when I went to Paris, our friend James that I talked about gave me a small little watercolor palette with the water brushes. I was very intimidated. But when I got to Paris, and I'm sitting right across the street from Notre Dame with coffee and an almond croissant, something just came over me. No, really. And so I began to just go for it. And I can't believe still that I created what I created. There was a whole nother level of inspiration. Last but not least, I started doing abstracts.
Okay.
Our friend Sean does a lot of abstract paintings. And it's something about just slinging the paint and seeing what comes. I guess you have the artistic gift, but you don't know how it's going to come out.
Right.
I've got new abstracts that people actually are coming in and admiring.
Nice.
And I'm having fun creating.
Yeah.
So I'm doing some new pieces for Art of World coming up, and so is Drew. So we're going to have a wonderful life of artistic creativity ahead of us. And I would love to have a little bigger space so that I can have a permanent dance studio, and we can have a little more space to move around. Yeah.
Huh. I bet I have to come visit now, because this
Yes.
sounds like a really fun place to be.
Yeah.
The hats, so I was trying to wrap my brain. So this is paintings of the hats.
Yes.
And you talked about that as part of kind of worship and heritage there. We do some documentary series here at SPNN, and we had a woman do a series on kind of the protest roots of the African American church.
Interesting.
And how, because going to church was itself protest or gathering that way, because it was illegal. But the hats as part of that celebration too.
Yeah, I got goosebumps. You're saying that, because I read a book called The Souls of Women Folk, and it really taught me more than I had known about the fact that the slave owners would allow the enslaved to go, at least on Sunday, eat what they want, and they go out to the brush, right? The bush, and have service in the woods. They could do whatever they wanted to do. And that kind of service, when you read the details of those traditions and the dancing, that's the same dancing that we do in church, just with a different tune, but the same movement. And the head, everything matched. The hat matched the suit, matched the shoes, matched the pocketbook. And you look up African attire, and you see that now.
Yeah.
Everything, it's very stylish and very regal. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. So what brought you to Minneapolis from Baltimore? And was Baltimore born and raised for both of you?
For me, Bev's from Washington, D.C.
Born in D.C.
Yeah,
Okay.
I got
It was
a DC
actually
girl.
Dad. You got a D.C. girl.
That's another conversation.
That's all another
Is that
conversation.
saying you married up?
Yeah, I'm married
Oh
up.
no! He
I'm
did
married
not
up.
say that. Oh, that's too funny.
I mean, we
Yeah.
all do. But
Yeah, really,
Oh, that
really.
is
Yeah, I'm
funny.
married up, definitely.
Okay. So anyway,
Oh, man.
so what were we talking about?
How do you,
How we
what brought
wind
you
up
to the
in
Twin
Minnesota.
Cities?
Dad. I mean, I spent Minnesota summers here from age 9.
Okay.
So I went to Sabathany Baptist Church with Dad, and I went to the Children's Theater for ballet.
Yeah.
I went to the Minnesota Dance Theater and took classes from Lois Holton, and then I went on to be a dance major at SUNY Purchase for a couple of years.
Okay.
But coming to Baltimore again, as shared earlier, was because Papa said, "Can you come home?"
Right.
And he called us home, and that was all in God's timing. Yeah, it was the most wonderful time with him.
Well, and now you've really staked out a space here,
Yeah.
Looks
which I'm happy to hear. I'm I'm a St. Paul kid, so
Are you?
I like it when people come back and stay and carve out spaces.
Yeah, we live in St. Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
We visited a few times before moving here.
Yeah.
Bev asked me, do you think you could live in Minnesota? So I was like, yes. And then that first winter, it was,
It was the second winter.
that was the
April,
second.
it was
Oh
15
my
inches of
gosh,
snow. I
man.
said, maybe we should go back to the East Coast.
I remember that one.
But
we
what's
stayed.
funny was we had the snow that Minnesota, I thought Minnesota would get, back east got it. So, but the cold, oh man, 7 to 8 months of cold
Yeah,
Yeah, it can get to you.
can be brutal.
Summer's worth it, though.
Yeah,
it
absolutely.
really is. The lakes are
Absolutely.
amazing. Yeah.
So what do you have coming up at the gallery? Is there anything? Do you have any fun things coming down the pipe?
Well, we're going to try to get Brian Forehand, saxophone player from Washington, back here. He was here
He
in
was at our opening
21,
in
yes.
June of 2020. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And going to try to get Brian back. Spoken word was always availability for that. I'm going to do an art talk, on jazz. So we got Art of World, of course, is coming up. We're even going to host a third youth artist, up and coming youth artist. So we just got a lot going on. So you can catch all of that on the website. So
And we'll be doing other artist spotlights too.
artist spotlights, definitely,
Local artist
definitely,
spotlights.
yes.
And they can display their work, and people can come and listen and hear about what and why they do what they do.
Truly more than a gallery, truly, yeah.
Yeah, I think you described it as
Truly
a community
more
hub.
than
Yeah.
And I think that's a great description of what you got going on. So if people want more information, they can go to hammond-art.com
Yes.
and find all kinds of fun stuff there.
Information. We're actually now in the process of updating our website to be more detailed. We have videos, but there's a lot of things we need to update and add because a certain person's just making art every 5 minutes.
They call me the
Great.
machine.
It's a good problem to
Yeah,
have.
they call them the machine. Yeah. I'd wake up at 2 in the morning and see something like, whoa, you did this while I was asleep.
What have you been up to?
Good.
Yep, so we're in the Northrop King Building, 1500 Jackson Street Northeast, Suite 261. You'll smell the candles coming down the hall.
You know that's us.
And when are you open? Like when can people come by?
Saturdays noon to 4.
Okay.
And then we're going to stretch out the hours through the week.
Yeah.
So probably something like a 10 to 4, but we'll solidify that.
Yeah.
We take appointments too, so wants
Definitely.
to come and have a special
Definitely.
viewing of art.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Drew and Beverly, thank you so much for coming and for
Absolutely.
giving us some time here and for
Thank
the work you're
you.
doing
Absolutely.
to host community in your space and make art.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
We really
Thank you.
enjoyed this conversation. Thank
We have been here in the Kwame McDonald studio at SPNN with Drew Hammond and Beverly Tipton talking about their gallery, Tipton Hammond Art in the Northrop King building. You can visit them there to see what they're up to. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again soon.